My topic is value-based pricing in detail explain, and let's go to the topic and let's go to the start. In value-based pricing, companies set prices based on the value that customers place on the product, rather than the cost of production or competition. This means that companies can charge higher prices for products that provide more value than their competitors. Value-based pricing requires a deep understanding of customer needs and preferences, as well as a clear understanding of the company's unique capabilities and competitive advantages. It may also involve pricing strategies such as tiered pricing, bundling, and subscription-based pricing. Overall, value-based pricing can be an effective way to connect with customers and differentiate a product or service in a crowded market, ultimately increasing profitability and customer loyalty. Value-based pricing is a strategy of setting prices primarily based on a consumer's perceived value of a product or service. Value-based pricing is customer-focused, meaning companies base their pricing on how much the customer believes a product is worth. Value-based pricing is different from cost-plus pricing, which factors the costs of production into the pricing calculation. Companies that offer unique or highly valuable features or services are better positioned to take advantage of the value-based pricing model than companies that chiefly sell commoditized items. Value-based pricing is based on a consumer's perceived value of the product or service in question. Value-based pricing means that companies base their pricing on how much the customer believes a product is worth. Unique and highly valuable products are best positioned to take advantage of the value-based pricing model. Commoditized items are poorly positioned to use value-based pricing. Value-based pricing is different from cost-plus pricing, which factors the costs of production into pricing. The value-based pricing principle mainly applies to markets in which possessing an item enhances a customer's self-image or facilitates unparalleled life experiences. To that end, this perceived value reflects the worth of an item that consumers are willing to assign to it, and consequently directly affects the price that the consumer ultimately pays. Although pricing value is an inexact science, the price can be determined with marketing techniques. For example, luxury automakers solicit customer feedback that serves to quantify customers' perceived value of their experiences driving a particular car model. As a result, sellers can use the value-based pricing approach to establish a vehicle's price going forward. Needed for value-based pricing. Any company engaged in value-based pricing must have a product or service that differentiates itself from the competition. The product must be customer-focused, meaning that any improvements and added features should be based on the customer's wants and needs. Of course, the product or service must be of high quality if the company's executives are looking to have a value-added pricing strategy. Value-based pricing is a strategy for pricing goods or services that adjusts the price based on its perceived value rather than on its historical price. The value-based pricing strategy is used to increase revenue by increasing prices without a significant effect on volume. Value-based pricing is a strategy for pricing goods or services that adjusts the price based on its perceived value rather than its historical price. The strategy is used when the purchasing decision is emotionally driven or when scarcity is involved. Value pricing is going to price items at a higher level than cost-plus pricing by increasing the perceived value of the good or service. Value-based pricing is used when the perceived value of the product is high. The strategy tends to involve products that possess a certain level of prestige and ownership or are completely unique. Designer apparel companies are well known for using value-based pricing. While a designer shirt may cost nominally more than a non-designer shirt to produce, the status carried by the designer brand increases the perceived value of the shirt. Many companies capitalize on such perception, increasing their margins greatly, while minimally reducing sales volume. A similar strategy may also be used when the purchasing decision is emotionally driven. For example, while a famous painting may sell for millions of dollars at an auction, the cost of creating that painting is meaningless relative to the sale price. The value and price are being derived from the prestige of the artist, as well as other emotional aspects that the buyer may connect with. Value-based pricing is also often used when scarcity is involved. For example, at a concert, bottled water may be on sale for $6. However, you can buy the same bottle from a vending machine outside of the concert area for $1 only. The difference in pricing is reflected in the scarcity of water at the concert, and the need for concertgoers to drink water. Value-based pricing is a pricing strategy in which the product's price is based on perceived value delivered to the customer instead of the actual cost of the product or service. This type of pricing is most commonly used by niche industries and those that provide customer-oriented customized products. The price of a product/service is fixed based on the estimated value of a product or the value to the customers, but not exclusively from these criteria. For example, the same cuisine is priced differently in different restaurants. The typical restaurant will charge a nominal price, whereas the same dish is priced higher at a premium in a 5-star hotel. Even though the food is the same and irrelevant to the taste, the customer would be ready to pay that premium amount to get the attached benefits like enjoying the hotel ambience. A painting may cost a lot more than just the cost of raw materials involved. Likewise, an art piece may be valued more than just the cost of the production. In other words, pricing a product shows how much the customers see its value. For example, designer apparel is priced at a premium compared to the same garment available on Amazon or Walmart by a local seller. Good value pricing. In this type of pricing, the product is priced as per the quality of the product and service provided to the customers concerning the product. Therefore, the pricing depends mainly on the quality and service associated with the product. Value-added pricing. In this type of pricing, the product/service is priced as per the value-added products for the customer to use. From the customer's perspective, how much ever the value of a particular feature in the product is worth is studied, and accordingly, the price is decided for the whole creation. The products priced under this strategy are always customer-focused. Any improvements, changes, versions, and product variations are made only after consulting the customer and according to their needs. Companies manufacturing such products should have a niche market for products. In addition, such products should be associated with a service that differentiates them from the other players providing similar products. There should be a strong communication channel to collect effective customer feedback, as customer perception is the main driving force in deciding the price of the product/service. Firms willing to price products using such a strategy must spend a significant amount of time understanding their customers' needs. Only then will satisfied customers justify the price of the products. A value-based pricing strategy offers your organization a practical path forward. Below is an in-depth examination of value-based pricing, including an overview of the value stick framework and the different components that make it so effective. Value-based pricing is a business strategy that primarily relies on customers' perceived value of goods or services to determine cost. Value for customers is the difference between their appreciation of a product or a service and what they have to pay for it, says Harvard Business School professor Felix Oberholtzer in the online course Business Strategy. The value stick framework offers a helpful way of visualizing the tenets of value-based pricing and how firms can maximize profit margins while creating more value for customers and suppliers. The value stick is a visual representation of a value-based pricing strategy's different components. At the top of the stick is the value that's been captured by the end consumer, called customer delight. In the middle is the value captured by the firm, called the firm's margin. At the bottom of the stick is the value captured by the firm's suppliers, called supplier surplus. The value stick comprises 4 components: willingness to pay, WTP, price, cost, and willingness to sell, WTS. Where on the stick each of these points falls determines how a sales value is split between a firm, its customers, and suppliers. Value-based pricing is the method of setting a price by which a company calculates and tries to earn the differentiated worth of its product for a particular customer segment when compared to its competitor. To understand how value-based pricing works, let's take the example of brand A that is about to launch a new LED television. It wants to figure out the price for its new 65-inch LED TV, the biggest screen size in the marketplace at the time. The company's closest competitor, brand B, recently introduced a 60-inch TV for $799. Both TVs have other features that are similar. Both have built-in Wi-Fi, the same level of definition, same number of HDMI inputs, same refresh rate, and so on. Focus on a single segment. The first thing to know about value-based pricing is that it always references one specific segment. For B2B products, it can be a single customer. Brand A's focus is only on big-screen TV buyers, not all TV buyers. Marketers can't use value-based pricing unless they have a specific segment. If they have multiple segments, they must determine a suitable value-based price for each one. Compare with next best alternative. This pricing method only works when the target segment has a specific competitor's product they can buy instead. Value-based pricers always ask the question, what would this segment buy if my product wasn't available? This next best alternative for the target is the essential point of comparison for calculating the value-based price. For products that are truly new, without peers, the value-based pricing methodology won't work well. Understand differentiated worth. The next task is to figure out which product features are unique, that is, differentiated, from the competitor's offering. In our case, the only differentiated feature of brand A is its larger screen size. Place a dollar amount on the differentiation. The last, and arguably the most difficult, step in calculating value-based price is to estimate the dollar value of the differentiated features. For us, this boils down to, how much will big screen TV shoppers pay for an extra 5 inches of screen size? And then add that amount, let's say it is $150, to $799, brand B's price. The value-based price of brand A's TV is $949. To accomplish this step, marketers typically use research methods like conjoint analysis or qualitative customer interviewing. One final point about value-based pricing is this. Just because the differentiated worth is $150 doesn't mean the company will get it all. In many situations, buying or renting a house for example, there will be a negotiation process, and the marketer may have to share the differentiated worth with the customer. Convertible. A convertible is perceived as a prestigious, luxury vehicle that draws attention in a way that traditional automobiles typically do not. A luxury automaker may attempt to highlight the prestige of its brand by increasing the price as a signal for how exclusive its products are. Housing. Many housing markets are subject to inelastic demand, meaning that demand remains high for homes regardless of whether prices are relatively lower or higher. Particularly in a seller's market, where buyer demand is especially high, lowering the price of a home will have very little impact on the likelihood that it will sell. In this case, buyers must consider the perceived value of a house before making an offer, as another buyer will likely swoop in if they don't act quickly. Milk. Some products are subject to value-based pricing without being luxury goods or those with inelastic demand. Milk is a good example of a product in this category. Many different brands of milk are available for sale at most grocery stores, but the price across comparable products is usually quite close. A reason for this is that in a highly competitive, price-sensitive market such as milk products, the price of goods typically settles at what customers are willing to pay. Because one carton of milk is essentially interchangeable with another, sellers have incentives to sell for the lowest reasonable price. Swiffer pads. Branded products with add-ons or replacement components are another example of a value-based pricing opportunity. Customers who buy a Swiffer sweeper will receive a small number of sweeping pads with the initial purchase. Once those run out, they will have to decide whether to buy additional Swiffer brand pads as replacements or look for alternatives in brands that may not fit their sweeper. Swiffer can charge more for replacement pads if customers need to use that particular brand because they are the only ones that fit exactly. To better understand value-based pricing, you need to understand how it differs from cost-plus pricing. In cost-plus pricing, the seller simply takes the cost of producing the good or service and adds a premium. In this sense, the main determiner of price in a cost-plus pricing strategy is the cost of producing that item. In value-based pricing strategies, prices are always equal to or higher than in cost-plus pricing strategies. The above diagram shows that a cost-plus pricing strategy adds a certain markup, making the price of the item dependent on its cost. The value-based pricing strategy is used on items that demonstrate a level of perceived value much greater than the cost. Issues with value-based pricing. Value-based pricing may not always be the best pricing strategy for a company, and implementing it can come with several obstacles. It can be very difficult to evaluate the perceived value of a product or service. With cost-plus pricing or competition-based pricing, a price can be decided relatively easily by evaluating costs or the competitors' prices. The value-based pricing strategy involves guesswork and is more qualitative in nature. Execution of value-based pricing strategy. The way that a product is marketed and perceived by consumers is especially important in a value-based pricing strategy. As the price level is going to be higher than a cost-plus strategy, the perceived value needs to be strong. This can, cause implementation costs to be more with value-based pricing, as extensive research must be done to arrive at a pricing decision. Also, differentiating the product from similar competing products may require a substantial investment. The product should be focused on a particular segment and not deviate from the main and only element. Customer perceived value is estimated in this step. The price of the nearest competitor's products in the same segment is taken to decide the range of fixed costs. Then, based on feedback from customers, the price range of the product is determined. To see the product's value from a customer's perspective and point out differentiated features in the product to be priced. To check how much the customer values the output, decide a price for this differentiated product feature and price the product collectively by adding a competitor's price and extra feature price. In value-based pricing, the price decided is irrelevant to the cost incurred. In contrast, the price is determined mainly based on the cost incurred for production and other tangible overheads. Value-based pricing is done using intangible parameters as perceived by the customer. Whereas in cost-based pricing, the cost incurred is real. Cost-based pricing is always less expensive. In comparison, value-based pricing is priced at a premium depending on the product's value. Value-based pricing has a bigger range of prices for products. At the same time, cost-based pricing does not have a price range depending on the product range, and cost incurred. The profit margin is higher in value-based, but the number of products is less than cost-based, with a lesser profit margin. Increased profits for the manufacturer. Customer loyalty is higher in these types of pricing. Customization of products is possible. Better quality of product and service. Better understanding and rapport between customer and manufacturer. Products are priced very high. A manufacturer can target only a niche market. Difficult to scale up the production due to a lack of market scope. The competitor can launch a similar product at a similar price range, and the manufacturer will have to sacrifice the market share. Labor costs are also very high, involving more skilled labor to produce and service. Willingness to pay. Willingness to pay is the highest price a customer is willing to pay for your product or service. Customers are more likely to make a purchase when companies charge any amount up to that threshold. Charging even a cent above heightens the risk that customers will decide against purchasing. This could not only deter current and potential customers, but also affect your business's impact on the competitive market. The difference between the customer's willingness to pay and the final price of the purchase is known as customer delight. This is the level of goodwill, loyalty, and brand enthusiasm the customer feels after making a purchase, which is typically tied to the value they've claimed from the transaction. Price. Price refers to the final price a company charges when it sells a product or service. As such, price is the point on the value stick that a firm has the most control over. It can be set at any point between a firm's cost of production and its customers' willingness to pay. When a firm sells a product or service, the value is split between the customer and the firm. As explained above, customers receive the difference between their willingness to pay and the actual price, while the company gets the difference between the price it charges and the costs associated with creating the product. This is referred to as the firm's margin. Where the company chooses to set its price determines how value is shared with the consumer. Naturally, companies aim to maximize profits from each sale. But they also strive to boost customer delight to build brand loyalty and turn single purchases into repeat ones. This creates a level of competition wherein a firm must find the optimal point on the value stick to achieve both goals. Cost. Cost refers to how much money goes into producing a product or service, including all of its components. This includes physical costs, such as the various nuts, bolts, and widgets that make up an item, along with non-physical costs, such as utilities and rental space. The lower a firm's cost, the higher the value it can share with its target customers. This creates competition between a firm and its suppliers that work to drive the price up to maximize value. Willingness to sell. Willingness to sell, also known as willingness to accept, is the lowest price a firm's suppliers are willing to accept in exchange for the raw materials needed to create products. While many suppliers would like to sell goods for the highest amount possible to maximize profits, most are willing to reduce prices to a certain extent to make a sale. Their willingness to sell represents the lowest point they're willing to drop before it no longer makes sense to pursue a sale. The difference between the supplier's willingness to sell and what they charge the firm is known as supplier surplus, or supplier delight. and it represents the value captured from a sale at the firm's expense. Good value pricing. Good value pricing refers to the practice of pricing a product based on its quality or the service that it provides to a customer. Value-added pricing. Value-added pricing refers to the practice of pricing a product based on the perceived value that products and their features add for a customer. Sellers attempt to determine what customers believe the value of a particular feature of the product is worth and price the product accordingly. Value-based pricing is a guarantee of sales success. Companies engaging in value-based pricing should not assume that it will necessarily lead to success in selling their products. Even if a company engages in thoughtful value-based pricing, its success depends on a number of other factors as well, most importantly, how wisely their competitors have priced products. Value-based pricing means companies have to consider every single feature of a product. A common misconception is that value-based pricing means marketers assess customers' perceived value of every single feature of a product, adding them all up to find a final price. This would be a monumental task for even the simplest of products. In reality, value-based pricing often uses assessments of different features among products to gauge perceived value. For example, if two computers have identical specs except for screen size, this feature may be the most important for setting value-based prices of these products. A brand's value is key to value-based pricing. Perceptions of brand value tend to be difficult to assess relative to differentiated features. If a product is a certain percentage faster, longer lasting, or more durable than a competitor, then these differentiated features can be assigned price values. It is more difficult to assess values based on brand alone. Value-based pricing and cost-based pricing. An alternative pricing method to value-based pricing is cost-based pricing, also known as cost-plus pricing. Value-based pricing is dependent on the value that customers are willing to assign to or pay for particular products, features, and services. On the other hand, cost-based pricing assigns a selling price to an item by factoring in the costs associated with producing that item. Once those costs are tallied, a markup is added to the final price to generate a profit. May lead to higher price points. Possibly increases brand value. Promotes customer loyalty. Establishes how much a customer is willing to pay for a product. Helps to incorporate customer feedback in designing future products. Requires a significant investment of time and resources to collect customer data. Perceptions of value can change over time. It can be difficult to set a price that works for every customer. It's a process that is neither exact nor with guaranteed results. Value-based pricing assesses customers' perceived value of a product, as well as its features and services, and assigns a price to that product based on this data. Value-based pricing can be applied to a wide range of products, but two of the most common are luxury fashion items and consumer staples such as milk. Value-based pricing can allow a seller to increase the price of an item to the highest level that customers will be willing to pay. It can help to promote customer and brand loyalty. It can also help to drive innovations in future products based on greater knowledge of the features that customers value the most. Value-based pricing is a powerful pricing tool that incorporates information about the value that customers perceive to come from a product, its various features, and related services. While value-based pricing is resource-intensive because it requires gathering and analyzing customer data, it can lead to advantages in sales, elevated price points and customer loyalty, and other benefits. On the other hand, value-based pricing is not a guarantee of sales success. Raise prices. A firm can easily increase profit margins by raising prices without changing anything else. This allows them to capture a greater share of each transaction's value at customers' expense. Raise customers' willingness to pay. Firms can increase customers' willingness to pay, in effect lengthening the value stick and increasing the total value that can be split. This enables them to raise prices and increase potential profits while delivering enough value to keep customers excited and delighted about the purchase. Lower costs. Firms can lower their costs by paying suppliers less, without changing anything else about the equation. This allows them to capture more value at the supplier's expense. Lower suppliers' willingness to sell. Firms can lower their suppliers' willingness to sell, in effect lengthening the value stick and increasing the shared value. This allows them to pay a lower cost while increasing the supplier surplus. Of the four strategies outlined above, numbers 2 and 4 allow firms the opportunity to increase the value for all parties. This enables them to maximize profits without negatively impacting others. Business strategies 1 and 3, on the other hand, allow firms to maximize profits at the expense of customers and suppliers, growing their own value while shrinking others. Using value-based pricing strategies for your business. The real benefit of leveraging a value-based pricing model for your business is that it forces you to truly understand the motivations of all parties involved in a transaction: your company, suppliers, and customers. This knowledge empowers you to make intelligent decisions around how you price your products or services and often leads to more beneficial outcomes. Value-based pricing is a pricing strategy to target a niche market. The product has to be customer-oriented and customizable according to the customer's needs. Undoubtedly, the quality of the product and service associated with the product should be of high quality, but the product's price will also be very high. There will be a better understanding between customer and manufacturer. The profits for the manufacturer are also very high, but it is not easy to scale up the production as the target will be niche. Thank you for watching the video and subscribe the channel.